48 Variations on a Pew, Alan Wexler, 2023. I printed 48 images of the pew. I consciously force myself to see the images as lines, colors, and shapes on a page rather than representations of a functional object. With pencil, knife, paper, and glue, I dissected, wrinkled, sliced, cut, and collaged the images. Following these transformations, I looked at each from a different perspective and annotated each, proposing functional sculptural reconstructions of the pew. New Views for Old Pews. Center for Advocacy, Support, and Transformation has teamed up with North Fork Contemporary to give new life to the wooden pews recently removed from the former Southold Methodist Church that is now CAST's Southold, New York headquarters. Number 1. Use a grinder to deteriorate a pew. Perhaps save sawdust to create a reliquary. Gradation across from left to right. See number 41. Number 2. This image can be interpreted in many ways. Place along a public trail and allow nature to take over for 10 years. After its deterioration, bring inside to stop further decay. Place among the other church pews in an existing, functioning church as a reminder of life and death. A memento mori. Number 3. Cast seat back and bench in acrylic resin. Sandblast all sides, surfaces, and edges. Insert LEDs into acrylic so bench is illuminated and glowing with an inner spiritual light aura. Number 4. Steel threaded rods holding elements together. Option. Shorten back and seat to 18 inches and use heavy gauge springs. Number 5. Option A. 1/8 inch steel wire rods are bent to reproduce the outline of an existing pew. Option B. Use a jigsaw with a wood cutting blade to cut away inside of pew sides, back, and seat, and stitch striped canvas to create a sling. Number 6. Disassemble pew sides. Use as a template to create plywood sides. Use a trim bit in a router to reproduce 8 sides. Each side is made with 2 that are laminated together. Number 7. I'm not sure how this proposal can be used as a prompt to create a conceptually strong transformation of a pew. This is a first step that has been used to generate other transformations and proposals. Number 8. This transformation and prompt comes from folding a photo of an existing pew. Using the camera at close range, make multiple photos of pew capturing every surface. Assemble photos to create a full-size photo paper pew in the 3rd dimension. Number 9. Make canvas slip covers for bench and add wood structure and padding to the interior to create a soft, off-white, ghost-like form of a pew as an upholstered bench. Option B, clear vinyl inflatable. Option C, latex, brushed and peeled and inflated. Number 10. Cut pew into fragments, always making the cuts with straight edges. Reassemble into a new arrangement. Fractured, folded, cubist, kaleidoscopic, prismatic. Number 11. Using the Bertoia chair as inspiration, use 1/8 inch steel rods and weld into a grid. Option B uses heavy gauge metal mesh. Number 12. Spolia uses an ancient term defined as architectural fragments taken out of their original context and reused in a different context. Here the church pew is cut into usable fragments in order to construct a table. Number 13. Using an angle grinder with the chainsaw grinding tool Carve each side of the pew to reform and soften form. Sand smooth and finish to match seat and back. Number 14. This might be difficult to see. The church pew is weather and rot protected with West System, 2-part epoxy. This is the product that is often used in boat building. The pew can then be left outdoors without a danger of deteriorating. Number 15. Similar to number 12, but the cut-out negative elements to construct table and 2 chairs remain as an example of process. Number 16. Not sure about this proposal and how it might be realized. Perhaps the parts are cut into small elements. Centered on each fragment, a 17/64 inch hole is drilled. A 1/4 inch diameter threaded rod passes through each element and all are skewered with a nut threaded at each end. Number 17. This is a clear proposal. The pew is rebuilt for 1 person. The extra length of seat and back can also be used to make additional 1-person chairs, as in number 29. Number 18. Use an Eames molded plywood chair to create 2 chairs from 1 pew. Number 19. Use the legs from 2 Eames molded plywood chairs to support the pew back and seat. Number 20. Use legs from 2 Eames molded fiberglass armchairs to support back and seat of pew. 21. Use an Eames chair and attach red seat between pew ends using 1/4 inch threaded rods. The rods can be hidden below or can be visible through the sides. Cut bench back and seat and place Eames leg unit below. Number 22. Place pew into 16 locations on the North Fork. Photograph each from the same height and vantage point. Print an exhibit framed as a photo essay. Number 23. Using a chainsaw, cut pew into 5 pieces. Reconnect them together using clear silicone or black silicone or threaded rods or small pieces of wood, mahogany or pine. Option 2. Use a jigsaw to get a smooth cut, but don't use a straight edge, freehand cut. Number 24. Cut pew into small parts that fit together in a flat pack manner. Use exposed hardware to reassemble pew. Number 25. Calculate surface area and thickness of pew. Cut into squares that when stacked and placed puzzle-like will become a cube. Number 26. Using heavy gauge wire, make a 3-dimensional wire drawing of pew. Option: make a chicken wire facsimile of pew, cover with cement to make an outdoor pew. Number 27. Render the bench in heavy gauge wire, number 14. Then crush and infill with 1/8 inch plywood. Use small metal clips to attach wire to plywood. Number 28. 1 pew equals 2. Material exchange. Plywood sides, seat, back. Number 29. Option A. 1. Using a jigsaw, cut back and seat carefully into 4 sections to create flat edges. 2. Cut cheap fir plywood after tracing bench side. 3. Use a trim bit and router to cut 5 other sides to match. Option B. Use mahogany plywood and edge band. Number 30. Back of pew and seat cut precisely. 4 feet by 4 feet sheets of 3/4 inch plywood attached to sides. Exposed or plugged hidden fasteners. Contrasting plywood birch without edge banding, or use mahogany veneered plywood with edge banding. Shellac, maybe other sheet materials. A. Melamine in red or white or black. B. Pegboard. C. steel, or aluminum. Number 31. Back and seat are separated from sides of pew. A slot is routed into each of 2 sheets of plywood. The seat and back slide through to allow the plywood to float bench. Number 32. Welded steel 1/4 inch diameter rods or 3/4 by 3/4 poplar number 6 black drywall screws make rubber caps over rods at floor. Option 1/4 by 1/4 brass brazed. Number 33. Not sure why, but I think of this prompt as an attempt to make a pew using a mapping of photos of the actual bench at 1:1 scale. The individual photos are glued together to produce photo paper full-size pew. Could do a 50% or 25% reduced version or model of the pew. Number 34. Using 3/4 inch plywood, reproduce pew as a flat pat kit. Use hardware to be able to assemble and disassemble like an IKEA piece of furniture. Reproduce the curvature using flat material in a pixelated fashion. Number 35. 1/2 inch by 4 feet by 8 feet, plate glass, tempered. Glass can also be water jet cut to the shape of the original sides. Number 36. 4 by 8 by 1/2 inch tempered glass. Use clear silicone E6000 along edge or drill through holes to use lag screws through the edge of the back and seat. Keep as one continuous bench using only 1 sheet of glass between each section. Number 37. Cut entire bench into 4-inch squares. Reassemble using E6000 silicone so it oozes out of each joint. Number 38. Use lots of black silicone and squeeze elements together so that the silicone oozes from between. Also try epoxy-based cement, Rockite, to hold pieces together. Number 39. Expanded pew. Individuals in a community are stitched together, connected individually. From chainsaw pew, rough cuts, negative positive, separation together. Number 40. Cut pew into 5 sections with a jigsaw. Bosch with a T101 BR wood cutting blade. Cut away other parts of the pew without compromising its stability. Using these scraps, fill in the voids between each segment. Number 41. This is a variation on number 1. Here, grinding the pew, see number 13 for grinder tool, as a gradation from left to right. At the far right, the material is ground away so the pew hardly supports a person's weight. Number 42. Completely grind church pew with the 4 mil plastic sheeting below inside a room without air current. Carefully sweep all sawdust and place inside a reliquary. 2 options above from holyart.com. Option 1, Neo-Gothic small reliquary in gold-plated brass with glass window, model OS 000558. Option 2, reliquary in golden plated brass with glass window, number OS 000012. Number 43. These are 2 examples of crating and sheathing 2 chairs that can be reimagined with the pew. Number 1 is a crate that can be opened with individual sides. Number 2 is an extruded crate that can slide away from the existing pew. Number 44. Using a 3-inch diameter hole saw, drill through surfaces of pew. Continue to perforate until it almost collapses. Number 45. Cut vertically through pew. Assemble every other strip to reduce pew in half. Then assemble other strips to create a second, narrower pew. Number 46. Use a jigsaw and cut out CAST as the sponsoring organization of this pew project. The triangle fragment in the A can be held in place with 1/16 inch stainless steel rods. Number 47, brick, sides with original seat and back, all marble created by a memorial stone worker. Number 48, digital print vehicle wrap using 3M vinyl. There are many businesses that can take this pew and wrap it in any image. Here, a photo of sky and grass. Option B, laminate reflective mylar to blend into its surroundings.